back in the days when, everybody was running the veer and the wishbone and all that stuff, I mean, you could recruit your big old corn-fed kids and just because you're going straight ahead, right? And now, the game has changed and you can't do that anymore.
On today's Throwdown Thursday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams, Coach Francis, and the OCP team of correspondents preview the Big Ten in advance of the 2022 college football season. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. My partner, Coach Mike Franchise Francis, is on assignment today, but we've got a great guest that's going to help us get through. The principal himself and our favorite official, Robert Abney, is here to help us do a Big Ten preseason preview. Robert, how are you today, sir?
I'm living the dream, man. Every day, living the dream. Let's get to it.
And fans, if you have not done so, take a listen to Robert's Find the Balance Friday interview. You will definitely get some nuggets as we get ready to go back to school too. The principal and the AD covering the Big Ten. I love it. Let's jump right at it. In segment one, we're going to give a conference team overview, again, strictly for entertainment purposes only, as we go through the projected win total and if they hope to be bowl eligible. Segment two, we're going to talk in detail about three major stories of the Big Ten. And then in segment three, we're going bowling and we're going to put them in the best bowls. So let's get started. Illinois, over under 4.5 wins. They hope to be bowl eligible, just like I do with my partner, Robert. If you care, stop me. If not, we'll keep it moving. Anything on the Illini?
Blue and orange is a bad color scheme. That's I don't know. I think who's their coach now? They got Brett Bielema, right? He used to be at Wisconsin, and then he went.
Lovey's not there anymore. That's all I know.
He went to Arkansas and went down the toilet, and then now he's back in the Big Ten. I'm going under. I'm not buying what they're selling.
All right, Indiana over under 4 wins and hope to be bowl eligible. Any thoughts on the Hoosiers, or is it just wait till basketball season?
They don't. Yeah, it's basketball. They need to wait till basketball, and hopefully they get. Although their women's team is really good.
Okay, all right. Iowa over under 7.5. They should be bowl eligible. Last season, Iowa had a great year, but as Mike and I watched them, they were extremely slow. So I don't think they're going to get fast. But what do you think? Over under 7.5 wins.
I think they'll get to 8 because they got enough tight ends that they can run 3 tight end sets all day on people. But when they play, like you said, when they play people who are fast, that's a problem for them. But I think they'll get to 8.
All right, and local to myself, the Maryland Terps, the over under is 6 wins, and Maryland should be bowl eligible. Coach Mike Loxley is touting the junior Tagovailoa as a Heisman candidate. Over and under 6 wins for our Maryland Terps in the DMV.
So I don't know if Mike Loxley. So I was in New Mexico. I'm in Texas now, but I was in New Mexico for a long time. My master's degree is from the University of New Mexico.
And he did not have a good go.
Mike Loxley was the head coach there, and that was the biggest disaster.
Yeah.
It was bad. And he I mean, he
He's
left.
rebounded.
No, they're still bad. They're getting better, but they're still bad. I just he definitely gets better talent, and I know that Maryland is like where he's from, so that probably helps him. But I'll never get over how bad he was at New Mexico, so I'm going under.
All right. And I'm not mad at you about that. I am not mad at you about that. So Michigan, and I'm going to pause because the over-under for Michigan is 9.5 wins. They're going to be bowl eligible. But, man, they had a great year last year, and I just can't see them doing it twice in a row. But what do you think, Robert? Over and under 9.5 wins.
Well, they're not going to beat Ohio State again. And they usually wind up tripping up against either Penn State or Michigan State, but that still puts them at 10. So I think they're over, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna beat Ohio State for sure.
All right. So Michigan State and Mel Tucker and the $90 million deal. Congratulations to him. Over under 7.5 wins. Should be bowl eligible. Shout out Jesse Losnick, Michigan State fan. Any thoughts on the Spartans?
They'll be over, but I have no opinion other than that. They're over.
Okay. Minnesota, over under 7.5 wins. Should be bowl eligible. I think this is PJ Fleck and rowing the boat or something like that, but don't quote me. What do you think about the Golden Gophers?
He's like it's rowing the boat or chopping wood. I can't read chopping
I think
wood.
it's a boat. Something's with the boats in there.
It's I don't
That's
know.
his gimmick.
I don't know. I sure over. Yeah.
All right. Nebraska and Scott Frost. And quite frankly, he's getting on my nerves because they're talking about him a lot. Over under 7.5 should be bowl eligible. Has not had a lot of success there. But maybe this is the year that they put it together. Any thoughts on the Cornhuskers?
So Nebraska, I mean, to me, Nebraska is one of those programs that I think the game has kind of passed them by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days when everybody was running the veer and the wishbone and all that stuff. I mean, you could recruit your big old corn-fed kids and just because you're going straight ahead, right? And now, the game has changed and you can't do that anymore. And I just don't see them ever getting back to what they were once upon a time. So all that said, I think they're going to be under. I don't think they're going to get to 8 wins. I mean, what were they? They won 3 games last year. You're going to go 3 to 8? Not in the Big Ten. No. Mm-mm.
All right. Northwestern, home of a lot of media people. Over under is 3.5, and they hope to be eligible for a bowl. What do you think about Northwestern?
I think they're the smartest team in the conference, but they're going to be under.
All right. The Ohio State University, over under 11 wins, and they should be Big Bowl eligible. What are you thinking about the Buckeyes?
Yeah, who's going to beat them?
Who's going to beat them?
Who are they going? I don't remember who their non-conference games are, but nobody in the Big Ten is going to beat them.
No, I can't see it.
And even if I guess if they manage to slip up and lose one, that puts them at 11-1, so that's a wash. But I'll still go over. I don't know who's going to beat them.
All right, Penn State. My college roommate, BPI, is a big Penn State fan. Over under 8.5 wins, should be bowl eligible. But the thing with Penn State is they always tend to lose something and can't break through from being a good team to a great team. Any thoughts on Penn State?
I think you summed it up nicely. I think that's going to be. I think that is who they are. They are who we thought they were. So
Yes, indeed.
I think they'll get to 9, but that's where they are.
And I think the bowl will get them to 9.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
All right. So Purdue, the Boilermakers, over under 7 wins, and they should be bowl eligible. And the funny thing about Purdue is every year they beat somebody they're not supposed to and mess up something. But they're never really that good. But they always, like every year, find a way to blank it up for the betting public,
Mhm.
myself included, strictly for entertainment purposes only. What do you think about the Boilermakers?
So my mom went to Indiana University. I didn't mention that earlier. I should have mentioned that when we talked about Indiana. So hopefully what will happen is that they'll play for the old Oaken Bucket because that's the trophy they play for, Indiana and Purdue.
Mhm.
And Purdue will be at 6 wins. No, they'll be at 5 wins. So they'll be trying to get bowl eligible. And Indiana will be whatever they're going to be. But Indiana will beat them and keep them from being bowl eligible. So
Okay.
I'm going to go under on Purdue. How about that? There you go. Because Indiana is going to mess it up for them.
We'll take it. All right, Rutgers, over under 4 wins. They hope to be bowl eligible. Quite frankly, Rutgers has been really, really bad in the Big Ten, but the check's clear. So, what do you think about Rutgers? Checks
I
are
think,
clearing, man.
hey, that's why you joined the Big Ten, right? That you want to expand that footprint into the New Jersey, New York metro area. And they've done that, but yeah, they're bad. They're under.
Yeah. All right, and finally, Wisconsin, over under 9 wins, should be bowl eligible. Again, to quote my old boss, Tom Dickman, Wisconsin just seems to hang around. They just hang around.
Well,
What do you think about it?
they'll probably win the West because that's what happens every year. They win the Western Division of the Big Ten with 9 wins, and then they go to the conference championship game and get blasted by Ohio State. So I think that's where they are. But the weird thing, the thing with that is if the over under is 9 and they get there with 9, and that might be a push.
Yeah, that might be a push. All right, well, fans, we have introduced you to all of the teams in the Big Ten and our initial thoughts. So, on the next segment, we're going to talk about 3 big pressing issues in terms of what's going on in the Big Ten. And we'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Flex. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. As the good educated that I am, shout out to Sue Spencer, my mentor. We're going to have a structured debate on 3 specific topics dealing with the Big Ten right now. And the first one, Robert, what does the addition of USC and UCLA mean to the Big Ten, and could we see additional expansion?
I'm kind of a traditionalist. I like the the old school where, the Orange Bowl was somebody at large against the ACC, and the Sugar Bowl was the SEC, and the I like that stuff. And all of this is a money grab. And it's a money grab specifically for football and probably to a lesser degree men's basketball. And what happens is that some of these other sports are gonna, the non-revenue sports, USC is going to go to Rutgers for a conference volleyball game. That's crazy.
Oh,
That is
right.
crazy. You are losing so much money. The schools are losing so much money. And to me, that stuff just does not make any sense. And I suppose I've seen some stuff about, UCLA, because UCLA actually is their athletic programs are struggling right now. They're broke. And so I'm
And they
sure
just
that's
had a
why
settlement with Under Armour,
I'm sure
getting out of their
that's
deal.
yeah, I'm sure that move, is potentially a money grab to try to solve that. But at the same time, are you really solving that when, you're having your baseball team? Well, that's your baseball team is going to go play at Purdue in March
On a Wednesday.
yeah. I mean, that, it's there's so much about this that doesn't make any sense. And it's all about the money. That's what it is. It's all about the money. And could we see additional? I think that, when stuff like this happens, that's when all of the other conferences start shuffling. And, some of these other non-Power 5 schools, you've got Boise State and San Diego State and maybe like Fresno State, and trying to jump in. And then the smaller ones, New Mexico, Colorado State, schools like that, they get left out and they're scuffling around for scraps. So I'm not a fan, but I'm not making any money off any of this, and that's what it's all about.
All right. So my thoughts, as somebody, Mike and I have covered, as you know, conference expansion since the beginning of our show, and over half the conferences in the country, football and basketball, have made some type of moves. And there's an old saying in education, I don't know if you've used it, there's the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. And they're the real 3 R's: refocus, relocate, or retire. The ship's left. It's moved. We're never going back. So
Nope.
with that being said, USC and UCLA were a part of the Pac-12. The Pac-12, with their business arrangements, made themselves irrelevant. That's a Pac-12 problem. As we say in business, that's their issue. So USC and UCLA saw an opportunity, and they took an opportunity. And with the reported numbers being $80 to $100 million annually, how could you not go? Could we see additional expansion? Absolutely. And then when people mention the scheduling, yeah, scheduling is going to be unique, but from December 15th to about January 30th, nobody's in school unless you're in J-term. So that's a big window to get games in. So if you have scheduling, and again, you are a principal and official, you know how scheduling works, you can schedule that type of game during that type of window. And then spring break is the middle, like 2 or 3 weeks, the middle of March. So again, you can schedule those games during that time. And school ends May 15th, but baseball season ends Memorial Day or something like that. So I think there's too much added about scheduling. And also, because schools are nonprofits, they can have partnership agreements with airlines, this, that, and the other. So I don't think it's that big of a challenge, but I totally understand. One of our correspondents, Jake Sharler, said, I missed the Big Eight. I missed the Southwest Conference. I miss the regionalization of college football. And I totally understood, because that's when we grew up, Robert. And and certain regions played certain styles. And then when they got together in said bowl game, the bowls did a good job of picking championships when you really look at it, outside of a couple of years that didn't work. And then the money got involved. So should be interesting. But we're going to move on to question 2. And I'll start this one off. What are the biggest stories you are following this year in the Big Ten? My biggest story right now is Michigan. What are you going to do for an encore? Because they had Harbaugh out on his carcass before he pulled together this great season. And I didn't forget that he went after an NFL job. So nobody's going after those jobs just for fun. He was trying to get out because, again, I don't think he can do it again. So I'm going to watch Michigan for all the wrong reasons. Any story, kind of wrap in your mind as we follow the Big Ten this year on the OCP?
I think that Michigan story is a good story. I think it's going to be interesting to see what, like you said, what they do for an encore. I don't know about their offensive line, but I remember last year that was the big difference in the game against Ohio State. Michigan's offensive line just absolutely brutalized Ohio State on defense, and I don't think they can do it again, and I don't think Ohio State's going to forget that either. I think Ohio State is, far and away the best team in the conference, and their issue is always going to be, when we get to the playoff, how do we keep from getting slapped around by Alabama? that's going to be their issue, right?
And that leads me to my other story is who else? Yes, Ohio State is great, man. They're not just good, they're great. Who else in the Big Ten can hang? Because the SEC, it's just different, man. It's just different in that. Nobody's really worried about the Pac-12. My high school teammate, shout out James, is on my case that I keep disrespecting Oklahoma and Texas. But I got to think there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the college football playoffs, Ohio State and a 4th team. That's my prediction early on. So, man, who else is going to get in the way, or who else is going to provide that upset to Ohio State to open the door? There's no Project Cincinnati this year, man. I can't see it. So, that's kind of, where I am with that, which takes us to our third and final question. What are your thoughts about college football expansion? Right now, we're at 4 teams. And the discussion was either 8 teams, 12 teams, or 16 teams. And fans of the show know I am a fan of rewarding the conference champion. I think there should be an automatic bid for conference championships and then at-large bids. But, Robert, these games are still going to be bad. So I don't really care. They're bad now, and it's 4 teams. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have 8 teams with 5 conference championships and 3 at-large bids, they're going to be bad. If you move it to 12 or 16, you'll have your conference champions, you'll have your at-large bids, and the early games will be, wait for it, bad. Okay. So if that's where we are, make it 16, grab all the money, because fans, the NCAA has nothing, nada to do with this. This is all CFP money. This is all college football money. The NCAA makes its money off the basketball tournament. And yes, fans, that funds everything else. So that's how it works. Robert, any thoughts? What would you do for college football expansion, playoffs? Where are you at?
Well, like you said, those games are bad, right? And I think 12 is a ridiculous idea because you play, okay, so your top 4 teams are going to get an extra 2 weeks to sit there and do nothing so that they can prepare to beat the winners of those first round games, by a collective score of 170-14. And, if you're going to expand, just do it. Just go to 16. let in 8 SEC schools, which is what they want anyway. Let in the conference champions of whatever's left of the Big 12, whatever's left of the Pac-12. Clemson will get in, but Clemson probably will wind up in the SEC for too long. And then, so whoever wins the ACC, let in St. Agnes for the blind and one-legged. I don't know. But do 16, just call it good and say, okay, let's go. Run it. Let's go.
Well, real talk. I think we should what should have happened was when they all met together, the Power 5 conferences had the boo-boo face on because of Texas and Oklahoma, and they didn't lock in the conference champions. Then, with all of the movement, they're like, oh my God, we should have taken that deal. So they're kind of short. I would like to see something, even after the expansion with Power 5s, which would be the 5 conferences, because ain't no power in 3 of them. I'd like to see a group of 5 team get in, and then the rest at large. And, that's the best way to do it. And if you want to go 16, just go, as you said, just go 16.
Just do it.
Because you're just trying to keep entertainment and engagement in. And after December 15th, nobody's in class. So stop it with the student athlete thing. I don't want to hear it. If I don't want to hear it, nobody wants to hear it, because that's all I do. And the college schedule's open. And so there you go. That's me.
I'm with you.
Hey, if we're going to do something, throw in the SWAC champion too. Throw in the HBCU national champion. Put them in there too. Let them
Jackson
get a couple
State,
of bucks.
baby.
Well, remember, Jackson State lost. They didn't win the SWAC. They didn't win the HBCU national championship. Central won. So with all of that noise, Texas A&M, even though this is the Big Ten, you didn't win nothing. So, all right. So with that, on our last segment, we're going to go bowl hunting. I'm going to let Robert be his own committee, and we're going to go bottom to top in the Big Ten to see how can we make compelling matchups on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 3, strictly for entertainment purposes only. We're going to predict the Big Ten Bowl tie-in. So we're going from the bottom up. Robert, hopefully you got your cheat sheet in front of you. The Big Ten has a relationship with the Quick Lane Bowl. So which second or third tier Big Ten team would you put in the Quick Lane Bowl to play a MAC school?
Oh, wow. So what you're really talking about is you're talking about a game where Michigan or Michigan State plays one of the directional schools from Michigan, right?
Man, you better not be Michigan or Michigan State in the MAC Bowl. You better be somebody else who's happy to be there.
Well, I mean, because, okay, so say it's not them, but, if you put Minnesota or Purdue in there, it's basically the same thing, right?
There you go. Yes, sir.
Playing one of the directional schools from Michigan. Maybe you get Bowling Green, Ball State. I don't know. But yes. I'm gonna say I'm going to say PJ Fleck is going to row the boat all the way to the
All
Quick
right.
Lane Bowl. There you go.
Okay, there you go. You're on it. So there's a relationship between the Big Ten and the Guaranteed Rate Bowl versus the Big 12. So that's probably a second tier Big Ten team going against a second tier Big 12 team. Which Big Ten team would you want in that?
Man. What do we got? Let's say that's probably gonna be Purdue right there.
All
Purdue
right.
in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl against the Big 12, so they're probably gonna wind up playing Oklahoma State. No, not Oklahoma State, because they'll probably be a little higher.
Well, some middling Big 12 team that we won't care about.
Exactly.
All right. So now we got the New Era Pinstripe Bowl against the ACC, and I think that's at Yankee Stadium. So who do you think from the Big Ten can draw some butts in the seats against an ACC school at Yankee Stadium?
I think that's the perfect place to put Iowa, man.
All right.
Get all the farmers going up to New York City for New Year's. There you go.
All right.
Go to the Pinstripe Bowl, go to Times Square. It'll be great.
Okay. The Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl against a second tier SEC team. So this is in Nashville, I think. What team? Hopefully a little bit better as we get to the tops. What are you thinking about?
This is one of those games where it's kind of like, okay, who gets to go get whooped by somebody from the SEC who's mad that they didn't get a New Year's Day game, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
so that sounds like Michigan State to me.
Okay, I can live with that. So now we're going to the Duke Mayo Bowl versus the ACC. What do you think?
Okay, so who we still got left? We still got Wisconsin,
Yeah,
and we still got Ohio State, obviously.
they're not
Let's
going to
just
be.
I'm going to put Ohio State in the playoff right now. They're in the
Okay,
playoff.
good.
So we're just going to take them out of the mix, right? So that leaves, we got 4 slots, and I still got I got 3 teams. Oh,
You can
shoot.
skip if you want, but somebody's going to be eligible.
What's that?
I said you can skip if you want, but somebody's going to be eligible. So you got maybe Nebraska in that, maybe Maryland, maybe.
I'd say it's probably one of those 2. You know what would be good is if Maryland is eligible for that one, because then they play an old ACC team.
Yeah.
Maryland, North Carolina in the Mayo Bowl. There you go.
Okay, we're booking it already, baby. We're booking already. Now, I think this might be a renamed bowl of the first year for this, but I have never heard of the Relia Quest Bowl.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
Whatever it is, they're going against the SEC, and I don't know if they're going to make it. So which one of the better schools will be part of the Relia Quest Bowl? Maybe that's Nebraska.
No, I'm gonna say that one is going to be. It'd be good to know where that is.
I have no
Where
idea.
that is. No, you know what? That's just going to be Wisconsin. Wisconsin is going to the Relia Quest Bowl.
All right. Relia Quest Bowl. Don't have 0.5 with me, but the Relia Quest Bowl is a college football game. Let's see where it is here. 1 second, fans. I almost got it, but nope, can't find it fast enough. And maybe it's in Tampa Bay. I think it's in Florida, but I don't care enough to care. All right, so next, the Verbo Citrus Bowl versus the SEC, and I like Verbo because I use them for my vacation traveling. So shout out Verbo. We'll be in Florida.
We just did the same thing. Yeah, that's the Relia Quest Bowl. That's a Florida game. So okay. Wisconsin people are always happy to go to Florida in January. So I think that's a good place for them. And then we got, let's see, now we're on the Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl.
Penn State, baby.
Penn State. Okay.
Penn State.
Good call for the Citrus Bowl. So that means for the Rose Bowl versus the Pac-12, you've got Michigan in the Rose Bowl?
I got Michigan in the. Who else? If you can't have Ohio State, who else?
Yeah.
Michigan.
Okay.
And it would be nice, but this ain't going to happen because now they're not in the Pac-12. Who better in the Rose Bowl than Michigan and USC?
Yes, I'm thinking the same thing. That would be a Rose Bowl game.
But because, the Rose Bowl is going to be mad at USC because they bailed out, and USC just ain't that good anyway. So ain't gonna be.
They should be. They keep talking about it. So
I am not buying that. I am not drinking that Kool-Aid.
They got a better quarterback. They got a better wide receiver, and they got a better coach. On paper, of course, on paper.
I think that the cupboard was bare, though. I think that was why they weren't very good.
All right, so that means we have Ohio State University as a part of the CFP. So they will be taking on somebody, but all right. So with that, fans, we have gone through the Big Ten Conference. Any final thoughts on the Big Ten before we close, Robert?
No, I mean, again, it's Ohio State. It's Ohio State and maybe Michigan, and everybody else is just playing
out the string.
Yeah, and you've probably seen those memes where you talk about USC playing at Iowa in December, and Iowa running their 3 tight end set, and USC is like, what the heck is that? Because they don't have 3 tight ends on their roster because of the Pac-12.
The internet's undefeated.
There's going to be a lot of stuff like that coming. It's going to be, I don't know. Bring the games, man. Bring the games. The dog days of summer, all that's on is baseball. My Red Sox are terrible. They're terrible. They are hard to watch. Let's go. Bring some football. Let's go.
All right, man. Robert, this has been a blast. I thank you so much for being here. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, who's on assignment, and the world's greatest official, Robert Abney, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.